The Santa Clarita Diet is pretty straightforward, so this will be more of a recap than a breakdown, and as I often do, there will be a little geeky review at the end of this video. At the end of season 1, Sheila and Joel attempt to retrieve Serbian bile from the grandma of their daughter's high school principal by getting her drunk in the hope that she will vomit so they can retrieve the final missing ingredient for a potential zombie cure that's been concocted by formerly disgraced but now president of a successful biotech company, the genius Dr. Cora Wolf, and her temporary assistant, the geeky but lovable Eric, so that they can use the serum on Sheila to hopefully reverse the undead effects and bring her back to life so that everything can go back to normal. But unfortunately, Principal Novak walks in on Sheila and Joel, and due to their former unsavory history, calls the cops on them. But before the popo arrives, Sheila and Joel have a fight and trash the shit out of Novak's lounge room. The cops rock up and Sheila takes off while Joel, in her stead, gets arrested and committed to an asylum as he is borderline in full breakdown mode and appears to have, if not actually has, lost his mind. After hearing of Joel's arrest, Dr. Cora, not wanting to ruin her reputation, bails on the gang but leaves her lab equipment and ancient book containing, amongst other things, the formula and instructions for the cure. Sheila starts turning feral, as in not able to control her hunger and her aggression anymore, and so volunteers to be chained up in the basement until further notice, and this is where our season 2 adventure begins. So yeah, nothing overly complicated here, just your average modern zombie family romp. So lots of things happen in season 2, but I'll just cover the important ones. Sheila gets a temporary cure early on in season 2. Eric managed to complete the formula, but we discover that the formula is not a cure per se, it just stops the illness from progressing further. In other words, Sheila won't get better, but she won't get worse either. It's a step in the right direction. Let's go over some major events and finish up there. Spider ball thing. So we learn of the origins of the virus. It comes from poisonous clam monsters that this lady, a clam fan, brother found during a deep sea dive. She wanted to set up a clam distribution business, but sadly if you eat the clams you turn into a zombie and eventually turn feral. Turns out that the clams are actually little spider things. We assume this is how they reproduce. Eat the clam, then vomit up the brown ball, which is a possible egg or something that later turns into a creepy spider thing. The side effect of this is turning into a zombie, apparently. It's a bit strange because we know that if you bite someone they turn into zombies as well, but apparently don't go feral, or maybe they do. More on that in a bit. So Joel and Sheila attempt to destroy all the clams before they get shipped out to restaurants around the country, turning a whole bunch of people into feral zombies. We don't know if the clams are alien in origin, but we do know that they are at least ancient. And the secret order has been fighting the clam monsters throughout history. That's why these dudes rock up and do the work for them. Knights of the Spider Clams, that's what I call them. We assume these two nerds are members of or direct lineage or something of the spider killing knights we see in the book. It's their sacred duty to protect the world from the zombie clams and the zombies as well by destroying them all. This sadly includes Sheila. Watch out, dude. Another major zombie trait is confirmed when we see that Gary is still alive. Well, not really, his head is though. So, just like most zombie things, if you don't destroy the brain, whoever gets bit by a zombie also turns into a zombie, but apparently doesn't go feral over time, as Gary seems to be chill out. Not sure why Gary isn't turning feral, but whatever. At first I was like, this sucks. You can't have a talking head without lungs. It's not realistic. Oh, you want reality in a show about zombies? Yes. This is such a brain dead argument I hear all the time, especially when I'm getting stuck into The Walking Dead. Just because one reality binding rule gets broken, like dead people coming back to life, doesn't mean all the rules and fundamental laws that govern reality should be broken as well. That would be madness, total chaos. We need structure, we need parameters, otherwise every show would be exactly the same, probably just white noise and random colors. I bring this up often when talking about The Walking Dead because so many rules get broken in that show. It's so wildly inconsistent that now I can't take the show seriously anymore. And so many people say, oh, do you really want reality in a zombie show? And I say, yes, just change one thing about the real world, in this case it's zombies, and everything else should remain the same. That way we have boundaries but can still enjoy the reality of a fantasy land. Just because there are zombies doesn't mean that Rick should be able to turn into a wizard and shoot jelly bean powered rockets out of his dick. That's just dumb. Or is that awesome? The point I'm failing to make is at first I was briefly annoyed that the head could talk without lungs, but then I realized that this is a magic land. This isn't not really a viral thing or whatever. This is fantasy with curses and witchcraft, so it's like it's the spell that keeps him alive or something. But anyway, who cares because it's a comedy. Shit like this is only annoying when the show, like The Walking Dead, takes itself very seriously, but then has all these other rule-breaking inconsistencies that ruin the fantasy. The Santa Clarita Diet is an awesome magical comedy, so it gets a pass from me. Ugh, sorry about that rant. So the cops, specifically Anne, start putting the pieces together, and she gets a little bit too close to finding out about Sheila, though she never could have guessed they were anything other than murderers. In other words, she assumed they were serial killers or something, not zombies. To prove to Anne that Sheila is actually a zombie and they're not serial killers per se, she ends up getting shot a bunch of times, and then they reveal Gary the talking head. Anne has an existential crisis and thinks God has sent them to her to do his bidding, and she vows to protect them. This could come in handy in the future when the Knights of the Spider Clan come to kill Sheila. So a few other things happen, like we find out that Ramona is a zombie as well. They give her the formula that stops her from going feral, and she legs it out of town to avoid suspicion. Another clam eater turned feral, and Joel kills the shit out of him. So at the end of the series, the only zombies we know about are Sheila and Ramona, who have stopped turning feral, and Gary the Head. The clams are all destroyed, as far as we know, but the Knights of the Clan people are tracking down anyone who may have turned into a zombie, i.e. Sheila and Ramona. And that about sums it up. I give the show 6 out of 6 zombified Nathan Fillion heads. This is the highest rating I have. This show is just funny. The dialogue is witty and hilarious, and I totally love this show to bits. To bits, I say! Watching Timothy Olyphant on the cusp of a total mental breakdown is fucking fantastic. Great cast, great dialogue, it's hilarious and gory as fuck to boot. What did you think of Santa Clarita Diet? Leave a comment below if you care to, and be happy always, friends.